So this video is going to be about the differences between police harassment and gang stalking. And I have a unique ability to state this because I've been a victim of both. When I was homeless, I was the victim of police harassment pretty much on a regular basis. I'd say at least once a week I was getting thrown on the ground, roughed up, accused of having drugs on me until they searched me and found I didn't have drugs, put in a holding cell for 8 hours, all sorts of stuff. Just not treated very nicely by the police. And that's police harassment. One of the instances was, I think I've stated in past videos, when it was way too cold out, I would sign myself into a nut ward. And one of the times the nut ward is in the hospital, which is in basically a black neighborhood. And when I walked out of the hospital, I was basically harassed by a Hispanic police officer who told me I was the wrong color to be in that neighborhood. And you know, this is just police harassment. This is what police do because they have penis envy, to quote Freud. But I'm just joking. What it is, though, is a lot of police, in my opinion, have what would be considered, psychologically speaking, an inferiority complex, and they compensate for that with psychopathic tendencies and things of that nature. That's my opinion on most police. However, it's important to understand police harassment is not gang stalking. Gang stalking is taken over by individuals that gang up on the person. Now, I'm not saying that gang stalking cannot happen in police departments, or that gang stalkers do not use the police to harass the person. But the gang stalking usually takes place, in my opinion, and in my instance, it's very obvious who was doing it, and it was former co-workers of mine. With police harassment, how do the two intertwine? Well, a couple times I've gotten threats from alt-right lunatics about swatting me. Now, I'm not saying that these people were involved in the gang stalking that is taking place now, or that it was gang stalking. It was just alt-right morons being alt-right morons, little kids that like to play video games and thinking that the police are an extension of their joystick. So what swatting is when somebody calls the police on you and reports like a false hostage situation or something like that, so the police show up and maybe kill you or something like that. And that's a new thing. But another thing is false reporting to the police. Actually, my former employer are masters of that. They false report a lot to the police about former employees and about clients and things like that. They want to make look bad. That's a common occurrence with that former employer, something I was aware of before I even worked there. And it was funny, one of the people on my caseload made fun of me because he said, "You knew how screwed up this place was and you still agreed to work here." And you know, he's right. That's pretty screwed up and pretty stupid of me. What's interesting about gang stalking, and I'm going to get into why you should never trust a flying monkey, okay? And a flying monkey or narcissistic agent, or in this case it seems to be the narcissist themselves that I'm arguing with in the comments section of my videos. I unfortunately thought it was the family of a young lady I was friends with from Argentina that decided to stop talking to me. She probably decided to stop talking to me for any number of reasons, most likely just because she found someone else, or maybe she just didn't want to meet me. What happened is she decided to stop talking to me right before I was going to come down, and literally days before I was going to come down. And unfortunately, days after she stopped talking to me, that's when all the rigmarole happened with my ex-girlfriend, with the pulmonary embolism, with blah, 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 blah. And that was, it was a very stressful time in my life. But what I found out with these gang stalkers, and that's when the gang stalking really started to elevate, was after this started happening. And I think it's because my friend, who actually did help me get down to the city to see my ex-girlfriend on the night that she was taken by helicopter to the Better Hospital in Philadelphia, where they could actually, keep her alive. Essentially what happened was that's when this gang stalking really picked up. And they really started saying things that had to do with my personal everyday life. And then months afterwards, that's when I started being stalked in actual life by what I think are probably just people that rented cars that looked identical to make me think that it was, federal agents or something like that. But I'm not stupid. I don't just assume ridiculous crap like a lot of people do. And that's the thing, is one of the goals of the gang stalkers is to make you think that they're omnipresent and that they know all, when they really don't. They have to rely on contacts to get the information, whether that's from hacking your devices or whether that's just from, in my situation, what it seems to be just people feeding them information, and from their spying on me, either with private investigators or through the use of flying monkeys from work, basically employees that basically have been encouraged to spy on me. That's a big possibility. You never know for sure, but why should you never believe the flying monkey? Well, with my friend from Argentina, or ex-friend from Argentina, I should say, she's not talking to me, probably due to my terrible behavior. With that instance, what happened was, essentially, they wanted me to believe that it was her family that was concerned about her. But initially, years back, they stated that they were my supervisor and that then they told her to stay away from me because I'm, quote, a, quote, racist psycho. And then took back the comment after I called them out when I said, really, you're my supervisor, which one? And I started naming names, and then they deleted the comment and told me I was a loon. Now that I have them cornered and I know who they are, I know basically everything about them, now they're trying to convince me you don't know. Same deal as it was when I singled them out and knew who they were when they were trying to get at me with my friend. As soon as you realize who they are, they start trying to, it's called gaslighting, they start trying to make you second guess your own intuition by claiming that I don't know you, I don't even know who you are, I don't even live in the same state as you, you're crazy, blah, 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 blah. But what it is, it's after they drop truths that only you understand to make you think, well, it makes you second guess, well, they know this, how can they not know me? But are they telling me the truth now? Maybe I am crazy. It makes you second guess yourself. And this is a well-rehearsed thing. It's not, you don't have to be very intelligent to do this. This is common everyday bullying, okay? This is not like anything complex, but it does have to do with people that know how to get a reaction out of people. And that's the whole thing, is they're going for a full reaction. Now, what I thought was, because of my friend feeding them information, no doubt, what I thought was that these people were family members, originally family members of my friend from Argentina that did not want me to go to Argentina. So they did everything they could to get me to attack her family, which I did do, because I thought it was her family. I tried to be as cordial as possible for months and months and months, but there's only so much you can take being called a gringo and all this other crap before you start going back at them. Now, the thing is, their goal was never to get me to stop going to Argentina. It never was. And I'm still going to Argentina. I won't be seeing my friend, obviously. But the thing is, their goal was not to get me to stop going to Argentina. They didn't care whether I went to Argentina or not. What they wanted to do was alienate me from this girl so that I didn't have a point of contact, a point of sanity in the world. So that what they do is they try to separate you from everything around you. And they probably would try this with my ex-girlfriend, except for the fact that they know my ex-girlfriend is unreachable. She's not going to deal with this crap. Okay, and I'm not even saying they even contacted my friend in Argentina, though they may have, and they may have lied to her about certain aspects of my life and things like that, but that's neither here nor there, because that chick is no longer in my life, which actually is a de-stressing thing, meaning unstressing. It takes stress out of my life in the sense that it was quite stressful trying to understand her and deal with her own peculiarities due to certain developmental issues she had. But the fact of the matter is, this is the reality of gang stalking versus police harassment. Police harassment is just police harassing you. Okay, and I've lived through that since I've been a teenager. Okay, and if you're white, you live through more police harassment than if you're other groups of people, because they don't have to worry about the legal ramifications of bothering you. And also, like for example, with the Hispanic, he must have been like Puerto Rican or something like that. They love to do whatever they can to humiliate a white person. The only time that I've seen the opposite of that is one time somebody had called the state police on me, and the only cop that treated me normally and like a person was the black guy. But the state police are a completely different animal than the local police. That's the thing that you have to understand. The state police are a completely different animal than local police. Most state police, at least in Pennsylvania, have military experience. They have college. They have reasons to be a police officer. They're loyal to the country. A lot of them are more like a soldier than a cop. That's the big difference between a state trooper and a local cop. And that was a big rigmarole with that, and that's where I do think that gang stalking and police harassment do intermingle, where the police, and I'm going to put a video by that Sam Vaknin guy where he explains this, how the narcissist turns the system against the targeted individual. And that's common. That is common. That's very common in mental health. In mental health, they do that a lot to basically ostracize and destroy the credibility of clients that might be against the mental health agency or might have very real personal issues with the agency. They will use their ability as mental health professionals to destroy the credibility of that person through the mental health system. And what it does is, how that works is, and this happened to me when I was younger, but not as an adult. How that works is everything that you say, like say you don't want to take medication, that's non-compliance. Say you don't think therapy is working, that's non-compliance. Say you question the treatment modes of treatment you're receiving, that is non-compliance. So what they have is they have you as a non-compliant, and non-compliant in the mental health field is virtually the same thing as being a criminal. It's basically ostracizing you, putting over your head, this is an antisocial person. Then on top of that, they build on that by stigmatizing you with different diagnoses. Like for example, one of the hospitals I was in, luckily my outpatient psychiatrist recognized the craziness of the psychiatrist and explained to me that most psychiatrists are mentally deranged. But the inpatient psychiatrist, who was Liberian, diagnosed me with xenophobia and paranoid schizophrenia, which I had no symptoms of. That was the big thing. Like my outpatient psychiatrist realized, the thing that threw him off was the xenophobia diagnosis. He thought that was the most ridiculous thing, especially since my psychiatrist was Turkish. So I don't have a fear of foreigners. For God's sakes, I'm trying to leave the country to, I'm trying to surround myself with foreigners to get out of my country. So, but he recognized the stupidity of that psychiatrist, and that psychiatrist transposing his own hang-ups onto me and his own hatred onto me. And that's how that happened. And that's when I was informed by a psychiatrist of the mental derangement of mental health professionals. And I have a higher than average IQ, which is in my mental health record. And he wanted me to realize, one of the biggest problems you have is everyone that works in this field, generally speaking, is stupid. Like, he flat out was telling me the truth. Unfortunately, he did pass away of a heart attack. But he explained to me, stupid people like to take smart people and break them down. He didn't say it in those words, but that's what he told me, was that you have to understand you're dealing with people that are not very intelligent and use mental health as a way to build themselves up at the expense of the client. And that's a common occurrence. It's not all the time, but it is a common occurrence, especially in inpatient settings. And he warned me about that because when I was a kid, I spent a lot of time in inpatient settings. And he was concerned that that may have affected my ability to, how can I put this? My ability to trust myself. Because he was worried that all this crap that was pumped into my head by these so-called professionals was making me question myself. And to a degree it was. Like, I did believe, I believed that diagnosis that I was, quote, xenophobic, but like he said, I have none of the symptoms of schizophrenia. And he said that was what was dangerous. What he thought was the most dangerous was if you stigmatize people with these crazy and he was a big believer in the medical model. He was not one of these fruity, these tutti frutti recovery model, limp-wristed liberal kooks. He was a big believer in the medical model, the actual medical model, that mental illness comes from a biological root, but he didn't discount the social aspects of it either. He just didn't believe in this recovery model horseshit. So what he explained to me was that you have to watch out for this because these people are putting their hang-ups onto you to break you down, to build themselves up. And they need this. It's like what a lot of the people that have the videos on narcissism, a lot of the doctors, a lot of these medical professionals, these psychiatrists, and a lot of these mental health professionals like psychologists, what this psychiatrist explained to me, it's similar to what people call narcissistic supply. And he said it's extremely prevalent in the mental health field. And that's what you have to watch out for. So with me, with my gang stalkers being from the mental health field, it makes sense that it would be the way that it is. Now, I have not discounted the possibility of future police harassment caused by my gang stalkers, caused by them falsely reporting to the police certain things, and I've already got a plan to deal with that. What they don't understand is I can deal with the police very well. I did go to school for criminal justice. I know how to think like a cop, okay? And that's the thing, is that what they don't understand is, see, I have not discounted this, that they will probably try to use false reporting to police against me like they did when I was a client. Which is actually funny. That's why my one friend that used to be on my caseload, why he said, you know how crazy they are, and you still decided to work here. When I was a client there, they falsely reported things to the police regarding me. And even my friend that works there admitted to me that they tried to get him to falsely report to the police that I tried to run him over, which was ridiculous, but that's how this place operates. Is a lot of false reporting to the police, a lot of back and forth with the police, and also a lot of cozying up to politicians. It's a slime fest is what it is. It is the swamp, as Donald Trump would say. And that's basically what's going on here. But you have to understand, there's a huge, huge difference between police harassment and gang stalking. But that doesn't mean that the two don't intermix sometimes. And it doesn't mean that police can't participate in gang stalking. Let's not forget that individual police are still individuals with individual lives, individual aspirations, individual goals, and that many police are psychopathic, and psychopathy is one of the dark triad traits. It's part of being a narcissist is a degree of psychopathy. And that's all for this video.